Morning, everybody. It's Chris here. A big welcome back to the World Cup Daily Spreadsheet Show. This is show 7. It's Friday. We've got a big day of football fixtures today. We've got the home nations playing. I'm excited. And Ian, how are you doing?
Yeah, morning, Chris. Morning, everybody. Lovely to see you. Yes, I mean, I'm not going to lie, Chris. I'm expecting a comfortable England win today against our Thanksgiving eating neighbours. But yeah, it's I'm good. I'm really good. I'm looking forward to what results come out today. I think it's a better setup today than it was yesterday. It all seemed a bit dull yesterday, I think, other than Spurs number 9 scoring. I haven't seen it yet, but a wonder goal.
Richarlison, yeah. No, I haven't seen them either.
Spurs winning the World Cup, son. See, this is my joint Spurs-England Ralphie today. See, they didn't get this. No one would have got this one. No one would have got the blue and white.
The stripes, good. Then we've got Wales at 10 o'clock this morning, of course.
Yeah, the Welsh. I get a lot of stick on FTS for not talking about the Welsh enough. We've got a lot of Scottish members. I give them a little grief, but we have got a lot of Welsh members, and they say I don't talk about them enough. So somebody has actually put in our chat this morning. Morning, Ian. I expect you to talk about length at Wales today. So I went to the spreadsheet, Chris. I thought I'll just have a quick look. We've got one group game. That's all we've got. I mean, how can you talk about length when we've got one group game in the last God knows how many years?
Can only work with what you got, right?
That's exactly it.
Let's say more into a few people. So Scott's first in. Big welcome to you, Scott. Chris is tuning in from the South Coast. How you doing, Chris? Snipsham is with us as well. Good to see you again. Mark is with us. Mark saying, talk about two of my passions, football and Excel. Me, you both, Mark. Good stuff. I'm not sure who this chap is tuning in. And then we've got Danny. Danny, how you doing? The General's tuning in. Let's salute the General. Lee's tuning in. How you doing? David is with us as well. Ian's tuning in. How's it going, Ian? Anish is with us. Good to see you. Paul tuning in from Australia again. Amazing stuff. Lee's with us. How you doing, Lee? And then we've got Stuart as well. How you doing? Greg. And John is tuning in for the first time live. Yeah, I mean, me and Ian were just talking about some of the YouTube analytics that we can see about this stream. And we can certainly see there's more people watching than comment in the chat. So if you're a lurker, don't worry about it. That's exactly what I do when I'm online most of the time. But yeah, make sure you say hello in the chat, guys. And
I see you as a lurker.
Introduce yourself. Yeah, I'm always in the background.
What about listening? Do we have the ability to kick people out?
I think we do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Allen there, Lee Stanaland, those comments, they should be removed. They should just be got rid of.
So what have we got? Well, let's remind ourselves what we're trying to do in the World Cup show. We've got a simple ambition here. We're trying to see if we can use Excel to effectively analyze World Cup matches. We're going to be doing this at 9 o'clock every day, combining Ian's betting trading experience with a little bit of Excel from me. And could we develop an effective framework for analyzing this kind of tournament over time? I do think it's coming together the past couple of days. Ian's been putting together a little dashboard, and we're going to work out how to do that in Excel. Now, all the data that we use is available for download. It's free, but you do have to put your email in. I'm uploading the files from each day. So if you go and check this link, it's in the video description below. You can see today's file and at least five other files. So after each day, whatever topic we've done, whether it's pivot tables, Excel formulae, we've covered all sorts already. You can find all those files for free. You have to put your email in. When you put your email in, you'll receive an automated email about our Excel VBA for football traders community. So if you're liking these streams, you'll love our community. We've got over 50 videos in there. You get a content navigator file as well to help you understand, where to start and get to where you need to be. All kinds of other benefits, and we do have the World Cup promo offer. So if you use the discount code World Cup when you sign up, then you will get a discounted rate for life. Apart from that, just our disclaimers, usual disclaimers, guys. We're not encouraging you to bet, and we're not personally endorsing the location of this tournament, of course, and we've got a full disclaimer in the video description below. So with that said, Ian, I'm going to share your stream here. I can see some additions to the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute, Chris. We're starting to make it look messy. This is why I come to people like you in the end, and I go, I've got everything there, but I'll tidy. It does need putting in some sort of order. it's organised chaos. I know what it all means, and we'll get to that. Just a quick touch on yesterday. Obviously, I fancied Switzerland. They did go one up. Could remove liability. There wasn't, unfortunately, a first half goal in the Uruguay game. There was no goals. In fact, there wasn't a first half goal yesterday. It was 0-0 at half time, all 4 games. I didn't have any views on the Portugal game. They did beat Ghana 3-2. Apparently, Ronaldo dived for the first penalty. And Brazil, by all accounts, I think everybody's played a game now. So we've seen every team. I think, obviously, the ones to pick out are obviously Brazil and Spain look good. France, a good win. Can they keep that going? Spain, can they, against better opposition? Germany in a lot of bother. Argentina need to get themselves out of it, and you've got to say England, a great performance in the first round, 6-2, to go and do that, and I do expect them to secure their place today. But let's get into this. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about goals and lack of goals, and I put a tweet out yesterday. Obviously, we've had a 7-0, a 6-2. So now that every team's played, we've had 16 group games. I just did this little table. Chris used a little bit of data validation. So I've created an engine, created some lists on the back. So literally the sort of techniques you showed us earlier in the week of creating that and then data validating that. So I can drop in the group games of any other World Cup. And so if we compared it to the last time out, there were 48 group games and that averaged 1 goal per game in the first half. We're currently on 0.94 and we're actually averaging more second half goals and just slightly more goals per game at this stage. Obviously, that's a complete group. We've only had, we're a quarter of the way through. We're 25% through the World Cup. For those who say it must pick up, all I will point to is 2010, when in the group we actually only averaged 2 goals per game, 0.88 first half goals and 1.21 second half goals. So one of the things for me, betting the way I do on tournaments like this, league football, I know that the numbers swing round in my favour because it's a continuum, it keeps going. Obviously here in 48 games, we can get a performance like this, or 64 games. So in effect, I can run out a road for the numbers to play out. So quite often that's why I don't play these tournaments. It just doesn't suit my way of betting. But that's where we're at the minute, 0.94. I would hope that it picks up. I mean, if you take the sort of big scoring games out, I mean, 4 of the games basically take up half the goals. So the others have been absolutely dire, averaging around a goal a game.
Yeah. So you got those outliers, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So that was yesterday's little bit of work. So we'll get you to talk about that. Let's just run through the games today and the groups quickly. So we've got 2 that fall in the same bracket early. We've got between 1 and 50. Wales play Iran. Wales are 31 ahead on ELO, and Senegal play Qatar are 35. So they both fall in our 1 to 50 bracket. We've got 43 games in that bracket. 20 have seen the higher rated team win, 13 draws, 10 losses, odds of 2.15. Wales are 2.22. So, yes, it's bigger, but I would like to see more value than that personally to get involved. And of course, we've only got 1 group game for Wales. And I still think Iran are going to prove a tough nut to crack. I'll get onto that in a minute. And I do want the Welsh to win there. 27 of them have gone over 1.59. We've got over 1.5, odds of 1.54. So nothing really in value in the goals market. And in the 2.5 market, over 21 have gone over 2.5, 2.05. We've got 2.64 and 2.6. So might be some value there in the goals market. I'm not sure about this Wales game. I think Iran are going to be tough. I do think that Senegal will beat Qatar. I mean, this lot are crap. I've said it on day one. I'm going to say it until they disappear out the tournament. They're absolute garbage. Senegal, obviously, without Mane. But I do think Senegal are going to beat Qatar today. It's whether you want to get involved at 1.73. But one I might play the goals on. Netherlands, Ecuador later. Ecuador, good win. Netherlands both won 2-0. So we can change this now to 150 to... 151 to 200.
Need some cheeky data validation on those cells as well, I suppose.
And could do, yeah. I could do, yeah. That's very true. And we've had 37 games, 20 have seen. So win odds of 1.85. You see how we've gone up the ratings, the win odds, the where the difference grows, the win odds have come down. So Netherlands 1.87. I've got a sneaky feeling Netherlands are going to do well in this tournament. So I do think they'll win. But again, for me, 1.85 to 1.87, there's just not enough what we'd call juice in this price for me to want to have a bet on them. But I do think Netherlands will beat Ecuador today. And then the England game, England are 1.54 in the same bracket again, 1.160, so slightly lower difference. So again, I wouldn't. And the goals, there's nothing there. Overs is 1.37, England are 1.33, and overs down here are 2.31. But that's looking at it groups and bands only. I then built this little dashboard to look at teams.
So this is new, new for today.
This is new. This is what we're going to.
Could you zoom in a little bit on that team area? Just go to about 130, I reckon.
Zoom in there, right? So let's go over there. I'll have to dive about the sheet a bit.
Yeah.
So we've got the team level here. So currently this is set on Wales, and as I've said, we've only had one team game for Wales. So we've got played one. One's gone 1 over 1.5. Didn't go over 2.5, so we've got a 0, and there was a first half goal. But the game I'm interested in for goals is the England game, so I'm going to pop England in there. So if I pop England in here, I don't know whether you can type in these boxes, can you, Chris?
If you type one letter, it should give you an entry that starts with that letter.
To the list, is it?
But my top tip is to hold down the Alt key and then the down arrow on the keyboard, and then that allows you to navigate up and down that menu. It's Alt and down,
Alt and out and down. Okay, so
Alt and down arrow.
Yeah. So England, we've got 16 games that they've played at group level now. 9 have gone over 1.5, 1.78. 6 have gone over 2.5, and 11 have had a first half goal. So 1.45 for the first half goal. That's up there at 1.43. Now this is where you're going to help me next week, Chris. I didn't know how to save that data, so I basically have just got an entry to type it down here, 16, 11, 5. So I'm basically looking at this market for me now, the first half goal market. That's the one I'm interested in. And then when I change it to the USA, and on our sheet it was in as United States. So we had 2 team names that I put in this year as USA and Serbia, and I think on the sheet they were Serbia and Montenegro and United States. So we'll make sure on the data sheet that's all correct before we publish it. And then the United States have had 13 games. 11 have gone over 1.5, only 2 under. 7 have gone over 2.5. 11 have had a first half goal. So basically what I've done now is put the England figures at the top here, put the USA figures at the bottom. They get combined here. So there's been 29 group games. 22 have had a first half goal. This is the first half goal figures I've put in. Odds of 1.32. First half goal today is 1.43. Given that England scored 6 in the first, given that the USA, I don't think, have kept a clean sheet in a group game in their history. I do really like goals in this game. I think an England win over 2.5, but I'm going to play the first half goal market as a better. I will do my usual. I will back over 2 first half goal or 1.5 first half goals, cover it with a 0.5. If we got to 0-0 at half time, I would then enter the goal markets in the second half, probably over 1.5, drip that in and trade. But that is
with the teams there, Ian. Did you do the analysis for both teams and then add the figures together?
Yeah, that's this bit down here. So and I'm not saying I probably could, but I ran out of time. I didn't have a lot of time yesterday. But that's basically So basically, once I've done it up the top here, I'm literally just typing that in down there. So that's USA. Okay. That's England's and that's USA's, and then they get added together here.
Okay.
1.32. But I really do like England to win today. Do I want to back them at 1.54? Not really. It's not my type of bet. I'm not saying that people should if they want to, but I do like the goals mark. I like the first half goal. Given a lot that the England have 6 goals, they're going to be full of confidence. The USA cannot defend and keep clean sheets, and I don't think they will today.
Is it true that this might be a myth? I don't know, but is it true that you can't get value on England anyway because so many are piling in, putting a tenner on England for the World Cup?
I mean, when we look at betting, teams like England, because people do overback them, the expectation. I mean, I've done a series on betting improving betting, and the second episode of that was expectation. And people, when they bet, their expectations far exceed what is actually achievable. And that applies to England football for the last 40 years. We always expect them to do better than they actually are capable of doing. They've got their hopes up, but even analysing the last two World Cups, the World Cup and the Euros, they just had absolute dream run fixtures, and nobody talks about that, but they were absolute. Everything fell perfectly, and they still couldn't win anything. And people just pile into them. They do. They're always far too short in the betting markets. So yeah, it's like the Premier League's harder to get value in than some of the other markets, because the more money that comes in, the more likelihood that these Betfair prices will be correct. Because there's just more opinions. But yeah, definitely a team that get far too much interest.
Good.
So that's my views. We'll work through some bits of this next week, Chris. But you're back to you're still back to your percentages and bands and.
That's it.
Have we got any questions on that? Anybody?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions coming in. This is not closely related to your sheet, Ian, but why do Europe have a lot more teams in the file than other continents?
Because we've got a lot more countries on our continent than the likes of North America, and that's why. And they're better football teams, so they just get through.
Lee's not sure you've done this.
Everything on this sheet, Chris will back me up. Everything on this sheet,
absolutely,
I've done myself. Everything here, I've been building it.
And Lee Wilson, I think this is a serious point. Not just a sledge of Wales, but there's no data for Wales, so it does seem to be more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, one of the issues with tournaments like this is obviously the England team now is different to the England team 4 years ago. So when you are taking team level, you're talking about two completely different team setups. While some of the players are the same, they're not all exactly the same. When you've got a team who hasn't been there, you haven't got anything. So you are literally relying on trying to work out how good they are on qualifying. And that's where you have to trust things like our ELO rating and say this is as accurate as we can get to compare the teams, because we've seen Wales play one game in a World Cup in 60 years.
Ian, thanks very much for your comments. So Ian says, I love the Excel VBA for football traders community. Link is in the video description below, guys. I'm keen to take the plunge for Ian's amazing offer for FTS Ultimate. Is the emphasis on trading or betting, Ian? I'm hoping
if I can do a quick plug for FTS. So FTS income, I do both, Ian. I've got fixed odds setups, and then I do trading. I fixed odds doesn't take as much time. At ftsincome.co.uk, the Ultimate is predominantly aimed at fixed odds betting. It's something that people can do on a Friday. They get all the matches, all the data, put their bets on and enjoy their weekend. We do have FTS football data. There aren't any Black Friday offers on that because we're revamping it, and that is more aimed at the trading side. And if you wanted that, I'd say come back in December. But if you want an FTS beginner, is a real introduction to trading, just right at beginner level. One method just to get started and teach people their way around Betfair, basically. If you want that, we have got two offers. ftsincome.co.uk, go to betting services at the top. FTS Ultimate, we're doing for £250 off for Black Friday till Monday. Enter the code Ultimate BF in capital letters at checkout, and for beginner it would be beginner BF at checkout, all capital letters, and they'll be live till Monday. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that, Ian and Chris.
No problem at all. Very good. Good stuff. So we'll switch over to my screen then. So to get into the Excel stuff, and I would say just a comment about what Ian's saying here. It's all generated through Excel, isn't it? The insights
everything. How we came about, which people probably know. Everything I do is Excel. In 2015, I did everything pen and paper. I used to get up at 4 a.m. on a Friday using pen and paper and calculate my own odds for the games that weekend. I could only do limited leagues. I started off doing 4 because of the time. I got introduced to Chris in 2016. I actually turned round and said, I met him in Manchester. True story, I met him in Nottingham. He sat down at a table with a little notepad writing hieroglyphics. And I thought, this guy's got no chance of doing what I want him to do. I did, honestly. I said, he's got no chance. And he went off. And about 2 weeks later, presented me with a spreadsheet, which basically did what I did manually. I went, wow, everything I do now operates through Chris. He's absolutely fantastic. He's enabled me to expand what and I'm not talking about what we provide, what I do personally betting wise. I've got sheets that the FTS community haven't even seen, all built by this guy. He's just enabled me to expand. Everything I use is Excel and numbers, generated mostly by the guy with the old Pilot headphones on. He's brilliant at what he does. He is absolutely brilliant at it.
Very, very kind, Ian. Thanks so much. And yeah, it's great. It has been amazing working with you the past 6 or 7 years. But
it's been good fun, hasn't it? It's been good fun.
Yeah, it has been fun. And just quick plug for my stuff. The stuff I do for Ian. Clearly, I don't share the exact sheets, but the exact techniques, formulae, VBA, data tables, pivot tables, whatever it might be. We talk through all of it. We talk through all of it in the Excel VBA Football Traders community. The link is in the links in the video description below. Right, let's jump into this one. So yeah, I'm a little bit behind Ian. It's like Ian's blazing ahead with his dashboard. So we'll catch up, and maybe by the end of this, but when we get to the semi-final stage, we'll have a really nice dashboard that we can just for the next tournament we can just throw the data in.
Yeah, 20 World Cup 26, we're going to be all over it. Somebody crushing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So but yesterday, you remember we had this challenge of getting the result for the stronger team, which was tricky because sometimes the stronger team is team A, sometimes the stronger team is team B. So yesterday was all about getting that result displaying in a single column. And I recommended a little combination of formulae here. So one if formula, which points us to team A or team B. And then I recommended this formula switch, which is new to me, but I've found really useful. It gets you a kind of VLOOKUP type functionality without having to have any data typed into a table somewhere in the spreadsheet. It just swaps two values, switches them literally. And that seemed to do the job. So now we're ready. And the specific problem we're trying to avoid here is, managed to generate our pivot table. But we can see we've got team A and team B. Team A is stronger by 351. And then somewhere down here, it will say team B is stronger by 351. So we had a basic problem that we'd have to add those together to get the whole result for the bracket. That's why we needed to go back to the data, rather than trying to get pivot tables to work and get into a real mess there. Often, almost always, the answer is to go back to the data. Have you got the right data structure? Do you need to introduce a couple more columns in the data? That's going to make everything simpler. So it all starts with the data structure. So we managed to do that later. So now we're in a position to produce this analysis, but hopefully in a more concise way, a more kind of neat and tidy way. That's what we're going to look to do. And I'm actually going to step away from pivot tables now. So you felt the power of pivot tables, and there's a lot to be said for pivot tables. Absolutely. We can generate this like at the click of a button. So you felt some of the pros and cons. The cons for me are kind of the unpredictable layout of the pivot table, when they regenerate. And then, actually setting up the pivot table can be problematic, but it is worth it, guys. It's worth spending the time to get to know pivot tables. We've got a video on our channel called Pivot Tables for Beginners or something like that. So if you're interested in pivot tables, but we're going to switch back over to our data analysis formulae, which is my kind of default way for doing this. So with the data analysis formulae, have I actually solved this? I'm just trying to work out. So team A and team B. Okay, we just need to count this column, and then we've got the bands there as well. So I can just take those bands and then take the result here. Yeah, and that should work. So what I want is all of the entries in this column, all of the unique entries in this column. I want to put them in a table. So we're kind of doing what the pivot table would do, but we're doing it manually because we're going to use Excel formulae. That gives us a lot more control over how things look. So Ian, so unique values out of this table, good formula for that?
Unique. I used that yesterday. Yep. Team names. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
That's how I spotted. That's how I spotted. We had two versions of Serbia.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. That's a great tip, for data cleansing. I mean, that's a problem we've encountered so often over the years, isn't it? Team names, and league names being different. So if you use
when they change, that's right.
Yep. So if you use unique, it's a quick way to get all of the entries in a all of the entries, all the unique entries in a column. You can quickly see if there's problems with spelling and stuff like that. So if we say unique, go back to input, then I want to get all of the bands here. Okay, very simple with unique. You know, you can close the bracket, but you don't need to close the bracket. If you've got a simple formula like that, you can just go ahead, hit enter now. And then we've got our values coming through there. Haven't come through in order. They're going to come through in the order they occur in the data set, I believe. So can we do a cheeky sort here? I'm going to convert to values first. So Control C, Control Alt V and V on the Windows PC. And that just gets rid of our formula. But we felt this yesterday, I think, or a couple of days ago. We want these to appear in a logical order. So keyboard shortcut for sorting data, Ian. Remember this one?
No.
You almost said it. It's the Alt A S S.
Oh, it's S. That's it. S.
Absolutely. Yeah. Alt A S S. There we go. And then is Excel going to handle this? And is it going to sort these numerically? Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
At 51 at the bottom.
How to do this? I'm going to have to do this manually, I think.
While you think of that, the headmaster's in, Alistair. He's just said USA is different between 2022 and it is, Alistair. I spotted that this morning when I was putting the fixture in. We will fix it for the next sheet that gets uploaded. After this, when Chrissy's ready Chrissy's finished here, I will fix all the team names on the sheet you receive, and Chrissy will upload it for a new one. I love him. I just absolutely, for those who don't know, Chrissy's my spreadsheet guy. Alistair is my data man. He's another one. Absolutely fantastic. Couldn't do what I do without him. He's an absolute legend.
Okay. Nothing gets past Alistair.
Nothing. No, it's brilliant. Absolutely. I love it. I just love the fact that he keeps dropping us little messages saying, hang on a minute. Yeah. Oh, you're getting some suggestions down here.
Okay. Yeah, let's get the comments. So how to get these in this data into order? Yes, got some ideas here. So Dave says sort. So the unique formula, it's called an array formula. It's new in 2019, and because it spills down. So we start at one cell and it spills down to the rows below, as we saw. Now sort is another array formula. Now that's not one I use. But that's going to, it's going to sort the data. So it might be worth doing some experimentation with this. Could be useful for you. Not one I'm using at the moment. Only available in Excel 365. Mark says it would be better to wrap the unique in a sort, and that way it remains dynamic. Yeah, absolutely. So Matt and Dave absolutely on the same wavelength here. Good ideas here. And Nick says, found these videos last night, binge watched to catch up. Fantastic stuff. Nick, big welcome to you. And whereabouts are you watching from in the world? Okay, so I just put the numbers in here. It's quite a manual way to do it, admittedly, but this should allow us to get where we need to get to. So something like this seems to have done the job. Okay, so column width, Alt HOW, then let's go for 15 here. Something like that seems to do the job. Now let's geek out a little bit here. So I want to make sure that every row in our data set is covered by one of these row headers, because if one of them isn't covered by them, then that's going to create problems later. So it's a very quick validation check here. So if we use COUNTIF, I'm going to go COUNTIF, go to the range, make sure I'm at the top of the range. Control Shift down, COUNTIF asks for range and then criteria. F4 to fix those references, comma. Excel's now saying, what's the criteria? So what do you want me to count? And if we just count that, that tells us, well, that's kind of vaguely useful. Maybe that tells us of all the games, what's the distribution in terms of the bands. Is that even vaguely interesting, Ian? Not yet, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always one for checking that what you've got is right. I mean, it's like, particularly, watching you Control if shortcut, you go right. Particularly for users like me, checking that we've done that right and got the right number. That's something I'm always doing. Yeah.
Yeah, always validating as we go. We can see we've got 320 here. So cheeky shortcut here, Alt plus is going to automatically sum up what's above the cell.
Need to write that one down. So I've got that. I use that a lot.
That's a nice one, wasn't it? Alt plus. There we go. And that gives us 320. So we can now pop back over to the data set, Control Shift down, and I can see at the bottom of Excel, we've got 320 there. So really, we're constantly trying to do these validation checks as we go through. Quick check here, quick check there, doing the same thing 2 different ways. That keeps us on the right track. So rather than leaving all the testing to the end, when it could be really difficult to kind of disentangle all of the work you've done. So let's say bands, let's say number of games here. Alt H-O-H. I'm going to go for 30 here. Alt HOW 15, and then F4 to repeat the last action, F4 to repeat the last action. That's going to give us uniform column widths, and I'm going to go ahead, let my pedantic Excel side go here, and we're going to have just some buffer columns over on the right, over on the left here, column width 3. Good, so we've got the number of games. Right, so now we want the results, don't we? So we want number of wins, a number of draws, number of losses. A number of losses here. Alt H-O-W, enter, and then F4 is going to repeat the last action. So yeah, absolutely being a bit pedantic here, but I just want the same column width across this table. So this is the result for the stronger team. Team here, Control B, Control I. Just going to change the font size here. Alt H F S, and I'm just going to take that down to 9. There we go. Okay, so looking good. Got our setup there. So number of wins. So formula to do this, and yeah, so pivot table is an option. We're going to go for our data analysis formula here. So I'm going to say countifs. So the criteria. So with countifs, Excel asks for a criteria range. So Excel saying, what column do you want me to look at? And then it asks for a criteria. So what data do you want me to pick out from this column? So we want it to look at the band column that contains this data. And then we want it to pick out these entries here. Going to have to be careful with the relative and absolute references again. Right, so Control Shift down. That's our band column. Just being very deliberate about the rows here. So row 6 to row 325. We know with our data analysis formula, if those rows don't match up, I've been here many times, if those rows don't match up, then we're going to get some kind of error. And of course, Excel won't tell us there's a problem with the rows necessarily. So just something to look out for that. So the criteria is going to be this. That's the piece of data. Now, yeah, if you watch on the replay, it's just seen in the comments, some people watching on the replay, fantastic stuff. But if you watch on the replay, stop the video now. What kind of reference do we want here? So we've got currently a relative reference, no $signs. This one is a full absolute reference. It's got, well, it's not actually, but it should be. It's now a full absolute reference. It's got all of the $signs in. So here we'd want a partial absolute reference. So this formula, we're going to drag it across. Yeah, we're going to drag the formula across. As we drag it across, we want it to continue to reference this column. But as we drag the formula down, we do want the formula to move down the rows. So effectively, we want to fix the column and not fix the rows. So that means a partial absolute reference, fixing the column, not fixing the row. So it's not going to be the $signs. I'm just hitting the F4 key here. Now, if the $signs is between the number and the letter, that's going to fix the row, but not the column. So that's not the option we want. And then the last option, you can see the $sign is to the left of the column letter. That's going to fix the column and not fix the row. And if you're not getting this, don't worry. I think I've only just understood this in like the past couple of years, to be honest, how all these references work. Okay. Right. So that's just, yeah, we need another criteria in here. What does the data look like? Okay, we've got loss, win, and draw here. So if I can actually type those in, win, loss, and draw. And this is going to be good practice because we're going to need the other type of partial absolute reference in a second. Okay, so comma, so the criteria range for the result, heading over to the input sheet, Control Shift and down, hitting the F4 key. Now I've got all my absolute references in there. So just checking the rows now, row 6, both got row 6 to row 325. Now I'm hitting comma, so don't make the mistake. If I click back over to the other sheet now, what you'll see is the sheet reference has changed. So I'm going to hit comma now, and I'm going to notice that Excel's now asking for the criteria. So yeah, we could type it in. That would work fine. And we'll check that number in a second. But for the purposes of the demonstration, and I was talking about partial absolute references just a second ago. Now, I think we need a single $sign, partial absolute reference, but it's the other type of partial absolute reference, because this one, we want to fix the row. We're going to take the formula down. We want it to keep referencing that row, but we do want it to move across. So we want to fix the row, but not the column. So I'm hitting the F4 key. So I think we'll check this in a second. I think that's what we want. So that formula should be quite universal in the sense that we can copy that across the table now. Hopefully, all of those references are going to point to the right places, but we'll see. We go Control R here. Okay, clearly they're not pointing to the right place. Okay. What's happened there? Can you see the problem here?
Yeah, the AA is changing.
Very good. Very good. So didn't get all my references in. Okay, let's have a quick check. Full absolute reference, partial absolute, full absolute, and partial absolute. Control R. Okay, and these are going across. Great opportunity here for a quick validation check, because if this is accurate, then this should add up to 68. All of the games should be accounted for in these columns. On the Shift key and down arrow, Control D, and now let's go ahead and do that validation check, in a formula. There we go. So quick sum formula and then Control D. I can see here, yeah, these numbers do appear to be accurate. And once again, Alt plus at the bottom. And then we've got 320 there. So quick validation check. Seems to be okay so far. But Ian, this is how you did yours, right? So
pretty much exactly. So I'm going to say I didn't have the absolute references as slick as you've got them now. So there was a bit of fannying around my end. But yes, basically that's what I did. Yeah.
I messed it up once though, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't know. I've always wondered why some have $2 signs, some have one. It's that's just that knowing where to put it to hold things still is key, because I do it all by trial and error. So now I know.
That's how I do it, pretty much by trial and error. I've just done so many trials that I don't make so many, but I still make errors. It's nothing to get hung up about. You saw when I built that formula, didn't get those references right. That's what it's all about.
Snippersham's got a valid comment.
Snipsham says, will the absolute values of 6325 need to change when we add more games into the input sheet? Absolutely. Great observation. And the answer is yes. So we're going to have a different approach. Like my approach has been, well, this data set is pretty static because we're analyzing the historical data. We're not adding games to the bottom of this data set yet, though we will do for the next World Cup. So I've made the assumption that it's a static data set, but in real life, we're often almost all the time working with what you'll call a dynamic data set. So data is being added or taken away. Various different approaches there. The easiest approach, which I mentioned already on the show, is probably to use a table, to format the data as a table. And then that means that the ranges should automatically expand, or it's quite easy to expand the range that the table covers. Alternatives, slightly slicker alternatives, but involve a bit more programming in the background. I use dynamic ranges. You'll see in Ian's sheet where we're doing this kind of thing. You'll see rather than having references here, we have named ranges. And Ian has said already he'd like to cover this at some point. So we'll definitely look at how to do that. And we use indirect in the background to set up a dynamic range. So it does some counting, counts how much data there is, and then that gives us that dynamic quality. That requires a little more setup. So if you want an easy way to do it, I'd recommend formatting as a table. Yeah, we'll get onto that, Ian, at some point. Hey, the dynamic range stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So some implied odds here, maybe.
Yeah. Now you're bonding now. See.
Yep. So get that percentage first. So it's going to be this cell divided by this cell. And once again, some cheeky partial absolute references here. So it's the same concept. Here we want to fix the column, not fix the row. So the dollar signs to the left of the column letter. Hoping this works. Control R, Control D. Opportunity for a quick validation check. Well, if this has all worked accurately, then what should these proportions add up to? They should add up to 1, of course. So cheeky validation check there. And just go down, hit the F2 key, check the references are okay.
Is a cheeky validation check the same as a cheeky Nando's?
Almost exactly the same thing.
Is it? Right, okay. Just wanted to confirm.
Yeah. If we went to Nando's and just did Excel and did validation checks, it would be like
cheeky Nando's with a cheeky validation check.
Love it. So Alt HP on the Windows PC, Alt HP gives us those percentages. You could slap some conditional formatting on there if you wanted to. Me and Ian were talking about conditional formatting this morning. That's what we do in it. We sit around and talk about Excel issues most of the time. We don't. But we were chatting away about conditional formatting and the pros and the cons. And we'll touch on that. So we've got the percentages. So now if we say 1 divided by the percentage, I believe that gives us, hopefully, gives us our implied odds. That looks about right, I think. Ooh. Okay. So let's see if we can avoid those div zeros. Okay, this is an interesting one. How would you avoid this? If they were annoying you, in those little
I use, and I don't know whether it's right, but I use if error.
Yeah, possible. If error is possible.
And I would put something like NA in there, basically saying, as you can see, it's because we haven't got a result. As you get in the higher bands, there's less games and we haven't had any losses. So in effect, a team that is 501 to 550 ahead hasn't lost a game yet. So I would just put in, that's it, like that, no data, something like that. I would put, that's exactly what I would do.
Okay, we're pretty close. How many decimal
Is that how
places?
you would do it?
Actually, no, but I don't want to get deep into the discussion. I think it's okay. My issue with if error is it doesn't tell you the nature of the error you see. And yeah, it's best to set your spreadsheet up in a way that kind of avoids errors you see. And if error, it can kind of paper over the cracks in the design of the spreadsheet you see. But it's a bit of a critical point, but I'd rather know what the error is. And I'll probably use something like an if formula there to say, if the value is 0, then don't do that. Don't do that division calculation you see.
Right.
It's not a major thing. It's me being a bit pedantic, I think. But yeah, anyway, let's get some control over these decimal points. So, something like that.
Yeah, beautiful. There you are. See, I get OCD over decimal points. It's got to be 2 decimal points, Chris.
Got to be 2. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just working with Betfair prices all the time. Once I start seeing 1.813, I just good like that. Well done, son.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So, any final questions today, then, guys? Any final questions? And then, yeah, we're going to be live tomorrow as usual, Sunday, Monday. Then just a bit of a note about Tuesday 29th. We're going to be an hour earlier, aren't we, Ian? We're going to go live at 8 o'clock.
We're going to go live at 8 o'clock on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday is the only day of this World Cup we need to do things earlier and go at 8 o'clock. Yes, we've got the headmasters in.
Yeah, he's in. It says if currently two teams have the same.
I love him. I absolutely love him. I can see him sat in his house just doing this now, smiling.
Yeah, if they've got the same elo. Well, we should look at that. Not now, but we should look at that. And how many times does that occur?
I've no idea. He's got me. I'll be honest. He's absolutely done me, because I don't know whether it's occurred. I can check on my sheet whether it has.
Yeah, we'll have a look. Good.
He's absolutely done me.
Maybe we can come back to that one tomorrow.
It hasn't occurred. The smallest difference is 2. We haven't got one. The smallest difference is 2. But I love him. I just love him. You coders just thinking away. See?
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Okay, guys. Well, can't see any final questions. Anything else from you today, Ian?
No, I'm fine, guys. Obviously enjoy the game. I do want Wales to win. Come on, England. People misconstrue my dislike of Southgate and watching this World Cup. We're not wanting England to win. I say it all the time. Absolutely desperate for England to win. I think they will win. I think we'll see a few goals and enjoy the watching. Don't get too drunk. Sorry, I'm on TV. Don't get too drunk.
Wales kicking off in 10 minutes. And then
enjoy it, guys.
7 o'clock. Fantastic. Okay, thanks so much for watching, guys. As always, we'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow at 9 o'clock. See you then. Take care.
Cheers, guys. Bye.